Good afternoon, RevvED community. My name is Edgar Palacios. I am the founder of Revolución Educativa, and we are here trying to build sustained collective power within the Latino community around issues of education. And I am thrilled. I am absolutely thrilled that we have Kansas City Public Schools Superintendent, Dr. Jennifer Collier, with us today. Dr. Collier, how are you doing today?
I am doing awesome. So glad to be here with you all today to have this very important conversation. Thank you for this invitation.
Absolutely. Well, we are so grateful that you made some time today to talk a little bit about the bond, the upcoming issue of the bond. But before we even get into that, I just would love to learn more about you, about your time at KCPS. I know you've made a significant investment in time at the district. And so will you share a little bit more about you and who you are?
Sure. So I have been with Kansas City Public Schools now for 25 years. I started in the district originally as a long-term sub. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do education, but as soon as I started teaching, as soon as I walked into the classroom and engaged with students with music, I knew that it was what I was supposed to do. And so over the years, I have been in a number of different positions here, teacher, vice principal, principal, chief human resource officer, chief of staff, deputy superintendent, and now superintendent. So I've kind of held at least a number of roles. So I've seen the district from many different vantage points. Yeah. And I've seen us over the years really grow and evolve into who we are today. And I couldn't be more proud of who we are today, but more importantly, where we're going as a district. You know, having earned full accreditation. And I see that as just the start. It's not the finish line, it's just the start. But building on that success, continuing to enhance our educational experiences for our students and to improve student achievement, those are my primary objectives as superintendent.
That is so awesome. I think you and I share something in common. I think we both graduated with a music degree. Is that correct?
Yes, we did. That's correct.
And
music lovers,
but I love how, I think in your plan for the district in the future, it is about that holistic approach to education, right? Including the arts, including sports, and making sure that the young people within our community have access to quality experiences at the school.
Absolutely. I think students need that holistic approach because we know that all learning is not just, reading, math, science, and social studies. Of course, those are the fundamentals, and we'll always continue to work to focus and enhance those areas. But I also believe that children need opportunities to engage in the arts. The arts are powerful. It's their place where they can find their voice and their confidence. And many times as they become proficient in the arts and those disciplines, they're able then to transfer that success into other things. Just as kids who are involved in sports, many times they're able to find success there. So I think the important thing is that we're providing enough ample opportunity for kids and diverse sets of opportunities for kids so that we're meeting all of our students' needs and we're meeting them in a very holistic manner.
Absolutely. So we have an important election coming up on April 8th, and there is the bond. KCPS is putting out a bond to the community for a vote. Can you tell me a little bit more about the bond and share some of the important facts around it?
Yeah, so we are super excited about this bond because this really is a historic moment in the life of not only Kansas City Public Schools, but Kansas City. It's been 58 years since our city approved a bond for the Kansas City School District boundaries. And we know that a bond effort, a GEO bond, is extremely important for schools and school districts that are needing to upgrade buildings, to modernize their spaces, to make sure that we have cutting edge technology and all of those things that we want to have in place so that students have the most optimal learning environment possible. That is the way school districts typically do that. And because we've not had a bond here in Kansas City Public Schools, us or charters, we've not had the dedicated funds to address many of those needs in our buildings. So in many cases, our buildings are not in the same condition as buildings across our city. And our kids are going to competitions. They're going out to these other districts, and they're often wondering, why do our buildings look the way they do? And I just don't believe that we want to continue to send a message to our kids that they don't matter. And I know that nobody intends to send that message, But that's what it says after a while if we're not willing to invest in our children. And I believe our children are our most valuable assets in our community, and they are worth investing in. And so this is a step in the right direction for this city to make this investment in our schools and in our learning environments for children all across Kansas City.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I so appreciate the leadership that the district is taking on this, as well as the importance that this is a first step, right? That there is so much more to do. And then there's so much we need to invest more resources into our young people. And so I'm excited for that opportunity. You all have done an extensive community engagement process on the bond. What have you heard? What makes you feel good about moving forward with the bond and putting it out to vote?
Yeah, so myself, my staff, and I have to be, very clear, it's not just me. I have an amazing staff who have worked alongside me. We have done an extensive amount of engagement, starting last year, reaching out, just having conversations about KCPS and this need that we have for upgrades to our facilities. And of course, I think with anything, sometimes it's met with a little skepticism or, why is this necessary? But I will say overall, the sentiment that I get from the community, especially after we've had an opportunity to tell our story, to talk about the needs, to explain what this would mean for our students. In many cases, people have come along and said, we understand. And while it might be challenging for some people right now, we've heard a lot about the property tax, and it's been challenging for people. Many people have agreed and said it is time for something like this. And so we recognize that it would be a huge sacrifice for our community if we're able to do that. But overall, I feel like our community has been overwhelmingly positive about this bond effort.
One thing, I was recently at the last board meeting, or the most recent board business meeting, and I know that there were some exciting announcements. I think that we're moving forward on a King Empowerment Center. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you all are not waiting on the bond to continue to move the district forward and to achieve the vision that you set out to achieve.
Absolutely. We feel like it's important that even before we go and ask voters to support us, that we put a little skin in the game, that we actually demonstrate that we believe that this is extremely important, and we want to model what it is we want to see across our district. So the board approved last night for us to move forward with a certificate of participation bond. Yeah. And that kind of functions like a home equity loan. We borrow that money, we'll make the upgrades to the building, and then we have to pay it back over the years. But we're willing to do that because we know how important this is, and we want people to see what we envision for our schools. And then as the GEO bond passes, we're able to then do more of that across the district. We're looking at doing a similar model on the northeast end of town, which is a growing area of our school district that will look very similar to King, except in the Empowerment Center, the services will be geared toward the people in that community. So we want to make sure whatever services are offered, it's what that community actually needs. So there might be some similarities with the services, but it could be differences based on what we hear from the community around needs. But we're so excited because we want our schools to be viewed as community assets, not just a place where we come have school, but it's like the hub of the community. And it's a place where folks in the community can also come to be a part of what we're doing. They can share some of our spaces. They can also even take advantage of some of the wraparound services, because we know that we're not just serving kids, we're serving families. And kids don't come to us in isolation. They come attached to a family, and many families have needs. So we want to make sure that we're providing as much support for our students and our families. And so that's this concept. That's the idea around that concept with our Empowerment Center. So yes, King Elementary Empowerment Center will be the first. And then the second one will be Whittier Woodland Empowerment Center, which will be on the northeast end.
Yeah. Right in my neighborhood. So we appreciate the attention and investment there.
Yes.
My daughter Isabel, who is 4, just started her journey at KCPS. She goes to Garfield. She's a pre-K student. She's going to go to second year pre-K next year. And as a parent, I'm at the very beginning of this educational career for her, right? Like, and what I have found at Garfield is just a really thriving and loving community of folks. I love her pre-K teachers. They are incredible folks. Dr. Amacone is an incredible principal.
Yes.
And I find that that's an experience that most people who participate in KCPS, have kids in KCPS, find, right? That it is this incredible community of folks that are there to make sure that young people are learning and have the best opportunities possible. Have you found that to be the same?
Absolutely. We have amazing educators here in Kansas City Public Schools. And I always encourage people, come visit us, come see what we're doing. Our educators go above and beyond, and they really show true care and concern for our kids. And I think that's what it takes. Like, we can't just come here to do a job. We have to love our kids and our families to be able to do this job effectively. And I've been really proud of the staff, the teachers, and even support staff in schools that really work hard to provide the best supports for our students and for our families. And I think thinking about our staff, the importance of this bond, what it also means for staff across our district. You know, we're in the middle of a national teacher shortage, and we know everyone's really trying to hire highly qualified educators. We want the best educators here in Kansas City. We have to think about the facilities we're also asking them to teach in, because they can make choices. They can go down the road to another district that has amazing amenities and wonderful buildings, and they can do all the things they dream of as a teacher. Yeah. We don't want to shortchange our staff either. We want them to know we have inviting environments right here in Kansas City, and we want to attract the best teachers, and we want to retain them. And so upgrading our facilities, having those more modernized spaces also strengthens us in that area, attracting and retaining highly qualified staff. So it's very important that we think about all the benefits associated with this bond.
I love that. You know, part of our work is to really think about how do we improve in the retention and recruitment of Latino educators across our city. And I know you all are aware of the shifting demographics within our community. We have a lot more multilingual learners, a lot more newcomers that are coming into the world, into our schools. I'm curious about how the bond will serve to improve the resources and services that are provided to those young people.
Absolutely. I think with this bond effort passing, it definitely is going to free up some resources in our district that right now have been going toward kind of just patching up things, you know, because we have to set aside so much money every year just to address, you know, facility needs that we're even able to handle. And we can't even handle all of it. Right now, we're sitting with like $650 million of deferred maintenance. But once this bond passes, that will free up a lot of that money. About, I think, $10 million per year is what we've kind of been setting aside to be able to start addressing some of the other needs, the important pertinent needs that we have, especially like around language services and supports for our families who don't necessarily speak English as their first language. That will allow us to provide better supports and to even think about staff that we need to hire. And I also think that this is critically important right now, especially in this current political climate when with so much of our budgets are being attacked. Like right now, we've been told that Title I will be decreased by 25%, Title II, 25%, and then our English language and immigrant grants, what we've been told initially is that they're going away. So if you're thinking about how are we serving our families, we've got to have resources to be able to do that. And we've already started thinking internally, okay, where can we shift some things? Because we have to continue to provide the supports for our new American families, our families that don't speak English. We have to continue to do that because it's important that we maintain that connection and make sure that all of our families feel welcomed and a part of our school system. But it's an uphill battle. But this bond is another thing that can help us continue those supports that we have and even be able to grow them. So we're continuing to watch our budget for next year, listening for what's coming down. But you know, we're determined as a district that is committed to equity. And I've told our folks, you know, people don't like certain language, but it doesn't change what we do. The work that we do is not going to change. We are committed to our community. We are committed to equity. We are committed to making sure that every person who is with us belongs, has a sense of belonging, and knows that they are seen and valued here. That is so important in education. And I think that extends to all people. To me, that is the human thing to do. So we intend to continue to do that. And so as the road may get harder for us, we just have to figure out how do we continue to make the work that we do, the things that we've centered, remain the main thing.
I so appreciate you saying that, and the doubling down of that commitment. I think we're seeing other districts make different decisions, right? We're seeing language being softened. We're seeing activities being shifted as well. And I really appreciate the leadership that KCPS has demonstrated in being at the front lines of the battles on and the attacks on public education
Yeah.
at the federal level, at the state level, at the local level in some ways. And I'm curious, 25 years ago, as you were subbing, as you were trying to figure out, what my next steps are, did you ever see yourself as a leader in this moment doing what you're about to do?
So I always felt like I was a leader. I don't know that I was thinking superintendent at the time.
Right.
It was probably a few years in, and I had really gotten engaged in the work, and I knew that this was a career that I was going to continue in, that I started to think about leadership on a larger level. Um, Probably about my 8th or 9th year in the district is when I really started to think about that. But when I first started, I had no idea that one day I would sit in this superintendent seat. But I think one of the things I'm most grateful for is a number of years that I actually taught, because I taught for 10 years before ever moving into administration. And I think that time in the classroom really gave me a lot of clarity around what is important for kids, being at the closest level to kids, kids coming into my classrooms, having conversations, hearing their needs, hearing about their dreams, hearing about their barriers. All those years and that time gave me a chance to really see our kids and our families up close. Yeah. And I've really worked hard over the years to not lose that perspective, because that's the most important thing, the children that we serve and the families that we serve. And so those years here in the classroom, and not just anywhere, but here in Kansas City, I think really that's one of the things that drives my leadership, that deep understanding of who our kids are, who our families are, and how we need to best serve them.
At RevvED, we are proud to support the bond. We want it to pass. We know the tremendous impact it'll have on our community. We know that schools are critical, right? Not just as places of learning, but it is as places where community can feel safe, places where community can build trust, places where community can build relationships together, right? And I've seen that in the short time as a Garfield parent. I've seen just the power behind the communities that are being built, and I love seeing my neighbors also be a part of the community in that way. So what's your call to action for community members in this moment? Clearly it's get out, go and vote on April 8th, but like what's your final message to community?
So I think for many of our families, our parents, I think they can understand and see immediately why this is necessary. But what I would want to say to everyone, even if you don't have children in our schools, the success of a city is always going to, or any place is going to be tied to how well we care for its children. And so as everyone within this community wants this world-class city, we want the city to be great, to be on the map, to be the best in everything. We will not achieve that by leaving the school district behind. That won't happen. And either we can make an investment now, or we can make an investment later. And if we don't choose to invest in children now, we will continue to have conversations about building jails and public safety. We've got to change our priorities. We've got to shift and understand that the children in this community, they are worth investing in. They are amazing. I mean, and our support shouldn't be based on their zip code. It shouldn't be based on their social economic status. These children in this school district are brilliant, and I wish everyone could see all that our children bring, the richness that they bring, and all the cultures that come here. This is an amazing place. But if we want this world-class city, if we want to reach a level of success as a city, we have to invest in our children right now. And so whether you have children here or not, just know that whatever decisions we make will impact the larger city. It's going to impact all of us. And as I said, we either make an investment now or we'll be forced to make an investment later. And I think we would much rather be proactive and give hope and invest in the children here that so much deserve it. We'll be proud of ourselves as a city if we're able to do that.
Absolutely. It's time to invest now. It is definitely this is such a monumental moment in our community's history.
It truly is.
And I'm so excited that the community is going to show up and vote for the bond on April 8th. One final question. Once the bond passes on April 8th, how are you and the team and Team KCPS going to celebrate? What are you going to do?
You know, we have been so busy working. We haven't had much time to think about the celebration. But listen, we certainly want to celebrate. And I think that we would want to make it a citywide celebration because, as I said, this is so much bigger than just this school district. Absolutely. This really marks a new era in the history of Kansas City. I mean, like, I think books can be written about this when this bond passes. Yes. And I am just so grateful to be in this seat at this time, but I'm also grateful for leaders like you. Like, I feel like leaders who are positioned right now in this season. I think each and every one of you all were selected for this season. Like, you're not leading by chance at this time. Mm-hmm. We are all in this together. And when this passes, we will have achieved this together because the school district can't do it alone. I can't get out there and accomplish this alone. We need partners, folks like you who are even giving me this platform to talk about. And when it passes, we will have done this together and we will have ushered this city into a new era, a new Kansas City, a new beginning for how we view ourselves, how we view education in Kansas City, and how we care for the children of Kansas City. So I just think it's remarkable. What is about to happen is extremely exciting, but I'm also very conscious and aware of who are in the seats right now and who's helping to make this happen. So thank you.
I appreciate that. And of course, our young people are at the center of our work, and we want to make sure, again, it is about improving the educational outcomes and experiences of our young people. And we're just grateful for leaders like yourself that have the courage, that are willing to lead, and are willing to say the things that are necessary in order for that vision to become reality. So, Dr. Collier, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us today to talk about the bond. But we really appreciate you and your commitment to our young people.
Absolutely. Thank you, Edgar. I appreciate this time.
Absolutely. And RevvED community, thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you at the polls on April 8th. Vote yes for the bond. Thank you all.